looking at the book of the month, which is The Art of Spending Money. And the idea for the art of spending money is to have us talk about wealth creation, talk about building wealth, and talk about our personal finances. Because most often than not, if you check your account's balance, you will think that money did not come into your account in certain months. You check your account balance and you are seeing red, but you look through the account statement, you see that something came in: salary, free will gifts, some small things that has entered, and you're wondering where did they go to. So the idea for the art of spending money is not to tell you how to spend your money, because that's one thing I like about the book, but to just um help you think critically about what you're spending the money on. Does it really matter, and is it necessary? And what you're holding back money from, is it important to hold back the money? Because there are people, I remember when we did the atomic habits review, somebody asked, how do you know that an habit has stopped um, supplying or serving you? So how do you cut the balance where you are not rigid or you're not firm and you feel that I must do this, whereas it's not serving you any longer? Because you may say wake up at 5, but you need to read late nights to be able to have certain progress in your life, and that will not allow you to wake up at 5, and you want to still keep up the values of waking up at 5. So how do you call that? So to start our book review this evening, we'll welcome Pastor Abiola to take the first 5 chapters reviews for us, so that we can now start putting our input. And remember that this book, all of us were supposed to have read it, so your input seriously does matter. So, Pastor Abiola, we are listening, sir.
Thank you. And good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, sir.
Name, has been Abiola Olowo. I'm a lover of God. People like to call me pastor. I like to call myself a lover of God. All right, so I'll just take us into our book for the month. This book was deeply satisfying when I read, and I say deeply satisfying because what I was expecting was kind of different from what I met in the book. And he made me pay attention to the writer as one that one would need to pay attention to the books he's written. And possibly I've read the Psychology of Money, but it did not strike me as much as this particular book, The Art of Spending Money, does. And I must say that in all of the book, I think that the most interesting concept or the most interesting lesson for me was the submission that every behavior makes sense with enough information. True. As in, that particular statement from that book seems to summarize the essence of the book for me. And it's interesting that we judge a lot of things through the lens of who we are or where we are from, or the standards, the principles that we have embraced as a person. Whereas if you take time to listen to other people, you realize that they are not being stupid. Some of them are not crazy. It's just that because of possibly the experiences they've had, they have been wired to think in a certain way, and that is why they are acting the way they are acting. And that's a powerful lesson to learn or to be reinforced for me. All right, so I'll just go into sizing chapter 1 through 5. The book writer started by helping us understand that when we talk about spending money, we cannot see it as a science. And what does it mean? When you talk about science, you talk about a one-size-fits-all, a set of principles or processes that you go through and you achieve a set goal or target. That's science. But it showed us that spending money is more than science, because what goes into people spending money is amazing. You can see somebody who has worked. I was watching something on YouTube, I think yesterday, about a man who approached priests that he wanted the gods to bless him, and then the priest asked a very funny question, asked him and said, okay, so what work are you doing, or what skills do you have? He said he drives. He said, yesterday, how much do you make? He said he made 30,000. He says, wow, 30,000. Say, okay, that's sizable. He says, so what did you do with the 30,000? He said he bought for 10,000 for making that, so his cost of making that profit was, that 30,000 was 10,000 naira. That was the cost. And then he had to pay 5,000 as delivery for the person who gave him the vehicle, the tricycle he was using. And then the priest said, oh, well, you have 15,000 naira left now, and you are still asking to be blessed. How many people in this country has 15,000 as profit at the end of the day? And he asked a very intelligent question. I said, so what happened to the remaining 15,000? And the guy said, I felt the urge to have sex, and because I'm not married, I called a girl who I've been talking to, like, give her 15,000. And in my head, I'm like, okay, so you probably worked 10 hours, and you spend 15,000, which was your profit, just for pleasure, that probably would not last maybe 30 minutes, which is a stretch anyway. But let's say 30 minutes. That's how crazy people can get when it comes to spending money. And that's to show us that there are complex situations into why people spend money, or how people come about what they spend money. All right. So okay, it's okay. I'm trying to see some of the things I highlighted in the book. Okay, so the book basically it is trying to tell us that it's not just about amassing numbers when it comes to money. It's about finding out what are the things that goes into how I spend my money. I know a lot of us might still be having that challenge of where you make money, and then after a while you're like, have made in your spreadsheet, if you keep track like I do, you look at the amount of money that has come in, and then you're asking yourself, what exactly has this money gone into? Trying to track what you did with the money.
Yeah.
And then you're like, where did all this money go? This book helps you understand why you are spending money the way you are. Because if you don't understand why you are acting the way you are, you can't really begin to make changes and try to adjust yourself quickly. And that's why I said this book was very, very important for me. Another thing that this book seek to drive on is to help us realize the importance of living for yourself, not living for others. A lot of people they spend their life. This is two ways. A lot of people dedicate their life to chasing money, as in trying to amass money, and at the end of the day, they just there's this in quotes an idea. When you have money, this is how you are supposed to spend it. He told the story of when he was working as a valet at I think a club or a restaurant, and then overheard two customers having a chat. And one of them said he bought a chair for, let's say, in Nigerian naira now, like 2 million. He bought the chair for 2 million, and the friend was like, that chair is freaking ugly. Why would you buy that for 2 million? When you have money, you just buy things. People who you see that they are able to practice delay gratification truly are people who truly they enjoy the work, and so they are not under the pressure to reward themselves because they enjoy what they're doing. And so you just see people acting out because the environment they grow up with, the way of life they've been exposed to, their experience of the past has wired them in a certain way. And the truth of the matter is, it's not limited to money alone. You see people, the kind of people they choose in relationship, they have been wired by the kind of experiences they've had in time past. and so they begin to work in a certain way. And so it's important for us to know that, okay, the fact that you enjoy spending money a certain way does not mean that every other person will really enjoy spending money that way. If you take time to understand them, understand their makeup, understand their beliefs, you'll be able to better comprehend why they spend money the way they spend money. Okay, so the second chapter talked about, it talked about uh, realizing that truly what we want is not money. It's not money. A lot of us think that, because maybe when you don't have money, you would always have that assumption that, if only I have money, my life would be better, my life would be bigger, my life would be more. And but the truth of the matter is that, Adekunle Gold sang a song, and that particular line, of that song, who caught my attention the very first time I heard that song. And it's the same when I started reading the book, that song just came back. So it's a song I've not listened to in a while. It says, um, money money does not buy happiness. It was where how did it say? It says, now when I get time I realize it. Or I am praying that you would also have money. The truth of the matter is that a lot of us, we are sitting on that fence of, oh, if only I have all the money to do all the things I
True.
want to do.
True. True.
As you get more money, you realize that it's more than money. Because the truth of the matter is that if you don't truly understand what you want, you'll go about it the wrong. Because people want respect and admiration. If you are in the midst of your friends, you want to show that you are okay. Maybe all you have in your pocket is 20,000, and you guys are going out together. You want to give the larger share so that people will recognize, Biola is one of the callers. You don't. That's because you're wanting something. And so, if you take time to understand yourself and say, oh, okay, so what exactly do I desire? If you know what you desire, it will help you understand why you're acting the way you are, and probably cut down on what you and this is one principle that it's not the first time I'm hearing about this, and that's the reverse arbitrary principle, where ask yourself, when I die, what do I want people to say about me? And then start to. I don't think that there's anybody who died and people came and say, but boy, yeah, man, no go is this, is that, is that. No. The next chapter talked about the happiest people are in the past, that's the and the writer's system that help us understand that you can only be happy when you stop asking, what else do I need to know? I think that if we build our happiness on things, it's a shallow way to do that. The key to living or to being happy is to have contentment. Yes. Nothing more than having contentment. If you want to be happy, my spiritual father is late now, and he used to say that time, but it did not make sense to me, maybe because where I was coming from, that kind of thing didn't make sense. Is that there are days in the house when all they have is Gary, and they are drinking it in their mind, they are imagining that they are eating chips or fried rice. I'm like, that's Sapa. That's it. There's no better way to say it. That's Sapa. But I realized that contentment truly is whatever saying that, not seeing not performing something else to thinking that something. When you're a contented person, you would not be under pressure to spend money anyhow. Yeah. You do that body person. Yeah. You are fine with yourself. Now, there's a thin line between being content and then being, what's this word? The word came and then just step down. Being complacent. Because on that same level, yes, I've seen people who become like, I'm content, but the truth of the matter is that they are complacent. They are not aspiring to be better. They are not aspiring to be to improve on the quality of life that they have. Well, you can be aspiring for greatness, yet at the same time you are funny the way you are. You are content with what you are. I was reading something. I think it was yesterday, and the person was saying that he read it from Otedolas biography, and he was saying that it was a picture that he said, be like a dog who above the water is looking fine, but below the water you are paddling for your life, as in you are putting enough pressure on yourself to get better, get better, but don't let it show in your face. There are certain levels that people are trying to be in vogue all the time. Is digging it for their finances. They are not going to amass wealth, and that's the truth. And that's why you see that rich people, they can go out in just polo and shorts, and they are fine. Whereas the poor boy wants to go somewhere and is looking for Balenciaga and Dior that is going to wear out just to impress people. Be content. As in, contentment is not really about what you spend. It's not about what you spend. It's a feeling you get inside of that.
Yeah.
You are fine. That content. All right. Next chapter talks about everything you don't see, and this tells you that when you look at the people that you are envying, who can I hope me or just there's no look that comes to mind because I'm just fine. But let's take for instance, maybe you're aspiring to be somebody like Apostle Iron, for instance, now, and you see all the sophisticated vibes and everything like that. But brother, if you see behind the scene, it will shock you. I was listening to Reverend Reverend Adejumobi. I think that's his name. Recently, they were talking about a time in their ministry where his wife had to come to counseling to talk to him. That was how bad it was. The woman who was attention in the house had to come to counseling, as in he's struggling all the time. For a particular day, he's dedicated to counseling. So for one, took this question and came to them that that's what you don't see. Yet you think that everybody's fine. Some people that are buying this today, buying that tomorrow, they are borrowing money. Some of them are even doing it for the sake of paparazzi. Some of them are not really buying those things. And so you must realize
because some of them are gifts, actually.
Some auto gift endorsement and all.
Yeah.
Yes. So don't put them under pressure. There are a lot of things that I like this particular part where you talk about Will Smith that he was talking about Will Smith that when he was poor, he had this impression that when he has money will take everything away. Only for him to have money and still suffer this depression. As in, can you imagine that? He has money, yet he still suffers depression. That's behind the scene. We are not saying everything that there is. So, people would think that success will change everything. The truth is that it may make your life more miserable than it is currently if you don't deal with what is really, really important. Find your happiness, babe. Don't make it about what you buy or what you buy. What you can afford. Happiness is complicated. It's really complicated. You have to think about family, think about health, you have to think about. Do you know the amount of betrayal some people suffer? All the people that spend money. Do you know the agonies of them suffer over their children? Do you know, as in when you become something really bigger than yourself, you realize that money is not sick. Money is the last thing you'll be thinking about. Look at Apostle Donald, for instance now. I am, I was that he's still not married. And I'm asking myself, is it that the man does not want to marry? I'm sure that if he has, I don't know him, I'm just making this assumption. If he has his way, maybe he would marry. But part of what he has to consider now that he has built something that's massive is to realize that, oh, I'm always traveling. How am I going to cope with emotional issue when you have a woman who is a, yes, a woman can tell you that I understand when you are not married. But when you become married, you understand that I understand. It's different from I understand. Exactly. That's when the same told you I understand. He will be telling you that you are emotional having me.
Okay, Abiola, I have to pause you. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
because Shola said she has a question for you. So I think we should take the question in between as you're talking. Then you just do a mini round off so that we can get input from other people. But your review have been insightful.
You know, when you get me in this zone, I just alright, go ahead with your question.
I understand.
Okay, good afternoon, Mr. Abiola. And like Miss Grace said, my name is Shola. And concerning the what you said about people, doing certain things to have an elevated sense of self, where they do things, either borrow things, borrow money, and all of that. My question is, in a world where people are first judged based on their appearance and what they look like, how would you advise a young lady or a young man coming up? This person does not have, let me say, certain resources, like, let me say, a car or proper clothes, to be in certain rooms and spaces, and he has an opportunity to go into a room where he's going to meet billionaires or millionaires and all. Would you advise that person to go as they are, knowing that what they are is not fit to be in that room, and knowing that people are going to be judging them based on face value? Because where I get this question from is I heard a story. It's an influencer online, and he said that he after putting out content for years, he got an opportunity to work with an international brand, and they were not taking him serious for a while, and then they set up a physical meeting, and because he's into skits and funny content, they thought he was going to appear rather as he does his skits. So, but he decided to just switch things up a little bit. He borrowed a friend's car, which happened to be like a latest model, one of the latest model of a particular car brand. He got his friend's perfume, also borrowed the man's clothes. He got in there with fluent English. By the time they saw him, there was a total different reaction from how they were addressing him before. And that landed him like that contract. So in that kind of scenario where people also judge you based on your appearance, how would you tell a young girl or a young man in this time and age to be content with what they have, but still look presentable enough to get opportunities?
That's a beautiful question. Okay, Abiola.
You have very, very good questions there. That's a very, very interesting, intelligent question. Thank you for that question. So, two things I'm going to say. The first thing I want to say from the example you give is that for anything you want to do, let value go ahead of you. That's the basic rule. When value goes ahead, what value does sometimes is it takes the focus away from the person. It puts the focus on what this person can do for you. And that's very important, because when people chase appearance sometimes and they don't have value, the truth of the matter is that you can look big and you get into conversations and you can tell that this person is empty. And that's a more scary thing to be than a person who has value and does not look the part. Now, not looking the part, what it does is that it reduces what you can command. And that's the basic truth. The rooms you don't go into, and the pastor was sharing this testimony. He was traveling anyway. He had a ministration somewhere, and so by the time he got to it's a business fellowship. and he got there around, maybe he got into the country around on 9, and he was supposed to have that meeting for 11. So he felt if I go to the hotel first, there's no way I would meet up the 11. I would appear, I would come in late, and I don't want that for myself. So he decided to go in his traveling. And when he got there, he said that the usher would not even allow him. They had to sit him down at the registration point. And they had started the meeting, they had prayed, they were waiting for, only for the pastors to come out and say, they are not saying, trying to call him. And that was when he saw him. I was like, what are you doing here? He said, I've been here for a while, but the usher says I can't go in. And he says, and then, after dealing with the usher, shouting, and they brought the man in. And then he got on the stage and he said when he finished, one of the people who participated said he is a general, a well-accomplished general in his right and everything. He said, when I first saw you, the trouble is that I was like, what? I felt insulted that I'm asked to come sit down. Somebody like you standing in front of me. But when you started talking, the value you brought convinced me, and the man eventually had an encounter. That tells you that the way you look is very, very important. Well, you understand my perception that value should go ahead. That's the first part. Now, the second part is there is nothing wrong about looking the part when it is justifiable. For instance, you want to go for an interview now. You don't have good shirts. My brother, if you have a friend that can borrow, you borrow, because when interviewer sits in front of you, he will judge you first on what he can see.
Yes.
Before you open your mouth to talk.
Yes.
Like the example you said, he was going for a presentation. He knew the value of what he was going for. If he does not look the part, he won't. Even if he gets the gig, there. Okay, let me share this also. I was listening to somebody talk about it that there were about 5 companies that quoted for a contract. The least of them was 700 million. The highest was 1.6 billion. After much evaluation, they gave the contract to person with 1.6 billion, and he was like, "Why?" He said, "When those guys came, the way they came, their presentation, the data convinced the people that don't take a risk with the people that are cheaper, because those people mess you up. But you are paying in front of a brand, they would size you up and say, the way this guy is looking, about phone contract 300,000. This one will run away with our money."
Exactly.
And you are for a contract that is worth hundreds of millions. It doesn't make sense. So you have to look the part. Now, this is where we need to strike a balance. Now, while I am all for, get all the help you need, there is also another alternative to it, and that's to, in age and time now. When we were growing up, we had this second-hand market where you can really get quality stuff for cheaper prices. These days, people find become of this sense of I have a right. I've heard rich people who send people to come and buy stuff from this market. It's perceived as inferior. But people buy a package, take it to a good dry cleaner. They handle it very well for you. When you come out, if you tell someone that you bought that clothes for 3,000 naira, that person says it's a lie, because I know this brand. So, when you can such an alternative, of course, go ahead and use it. But if you don't have that, by all means, please do what you have to do to get what you have to get. Because you already have the value to command those kind of results. I hope that answers your questions. I don't know if anybody wants to add anything.
I want to add something to it. Under the chapter of risk, this chapter that has to do with risk and regrets, the author talked about sometimes we want to, that you can't necessarily say invest long term or invest short term, but it depends on the situation at stake. It depends on what is at stake. So I just want to read this part. They said those two things, saving for tomorrow while still living for today, cause too many people anguish. The irony is that the richer society becomes, the longer we live, and the more opportunities we have to screw up our finance in a way that could leave us with regrets. If you read that chapter very well, the author was talking about you can't decide what decides whether you should save long term or do short term is what is at stake in the immediate time. So I have, let's say, 1 million in my account, and I have a sick parent, and I'm thinking of saving. because I don't know whether if I put the money to save my sick parents, whether they will eventually live. That's a very stupid decision to take. That I'm thinking it's better they die so that my money can compound. Because after all, they've lived their life. That's a selfish way to think. So what is at stake is what matters more. So if you're going to somewhere and what is at stake is that you have to get more money to add to your own money that you have, what's there?
Yes, sir.
People rent cars to actually attend important function. But when it becomes a lifestyle that I must always rent car, I must always follow boats, I must live above my, that's where the problem actually is. That's where the problem is. So I don't know whether there's somebody else who wants to add. You have one more chapter to go, right?
Yeah, just one more.
Okay, so let's take it in. Okay, somebody wants to say something. Sorry, pardon me. What's your name?
Thanks.
Thanks. Thanks. Okay, Thanks wants to add a view.
So there's a two part of this coin. There's a part where you have value to command the loop, and when you're actually having the value, having the loop, but there's another end point of the value where it has to do with what you're to get from having the look and not having the value.
Transaction is.
Because most people would look expensive to do things that are not of any result or any benefit. So I feel that's the part probably this question, the question emanated from, and this other part is not being addressed. Yes, you can have value, you can have the look, but what are you doing all this for? If it's not something that will bring results, positive results, I don't think that's where probably the writer is hammering on. Most people, you see them, they borrow clothes, it's just for leisure. Nothing economical. It's not bringing back money. I don't know if that makes sense. It's not bringing back money.
Because they are doing it more for the perceived
admiration.
But I've seen people, even online spaces, we have people tell that story where they package themselves so well that they were borrowing things. Then it got to a stage where they started receiving an equally economical value of the things they used to borrow. So they will not get
when they borrow the things, what were they doing with the things?
That's the thing, that they were snapping with it or posting videos with it or talking about it. Some people were not doing it because they want to get. They were mostly like thinking like long term or a perceived perception. Let's put it like that.
They do it because they want to be perceived as rich.
And then they now get the visibility that attracts the kind of, let's say, rich brands to them. They have the visibility. They've done this thing for a very long time. They've borrowed money, borrowed things, done Instagram Live.
They're just lucky that it worked out.
Exactly, that is luck.
They're very lucky.
Well, it's perfect to say luck because they've actually put in the work to achieve that.
Okay, Shola, when you are looking at the periodic table, there's something called exception to the rule. Do you understand? So you can't use the exception to the rule as the rule.
Okay.
That's one. Then number two, you may be thinking that there is no value they bring on the table. But maybe with that, they are wearing things that they are borrowing. They're putting out content. They're talking about brands. That's the value they are bringing to the table. It may not be looking as value to us. But over time, the person who comes back to them and say, you have influence, you have people who are listening to you, no matter how crazy you are talking, they have the audience. So there's something nobody puts their money where they are not seeing the value. Do you understand? And the truth is, at some point, they too would have started working on themselves to be able to talk that part, look that part, and walk that part. Do you understand? The only thing is, it is gambling. And like gambling, it may work, it may not work. Sorry, Abella, you wanted to say something? Pardon me.
Oh, okay. I wanted to say that there is the truth that we have to realize that there are variables that support this fake it till you make it thing, and sometimes in some industries that is important for you to actually get results. For instance, if it's this influencing, there's a level of faking it that gets them to a point where they have amassed enough following. The reason why brands are coming is not because they faked it, but because by their faking it, they have been able to amass the value that brands are looking for. Brands want presence. So by the time the brand is coming, they are not rewarding their faking it. They are rewarding the value that has been created by that check. And that's what that's what this Olodo culture conversation that is happening now. That's what is also bringing attention to. Somebody comes online, does nonsense for a long period of time, get crazy followers. Brand begins to endorse and begins to pump money into that person. And some of them go ahead and rebrand into something more meaningful. But if you say that you want to consistently, the truth about that, if you keep faking, you will keep putting yourself in deeper trouble. Blessing CEO, what's the name of this?
Exactly, that's the perfect example.
That system not working. But yes, it does work for some people. Like Grace said, those are exceptions to the rule. We can't build a model of them.
Okay, thanks. You wanted to say something?
Okay.
Okay, so let's take that chapter you wanted to handle in 3 minutes so that we can move to other chapters.
I thought the final talk about is the chapter that talks about what's it now? The most valuable financial asset is not needing to impress
anybody,
anymore. Like we said, if you come to appointment, you would realize that it's all about you. But remember, I said that don't become complacent because it's so easy. Now, I'm going to read this directly from the beginning of the chapter.
Okay.
I want to read it. It says, when you don't, in that chapter, the second paragraph is when you don't feel the need to impress other people, your desires fall. I think that should sink in. When you get to that point where you feel that I am fine, there's nobody to impress, the truth of life is that your expectations for yourself, it does not begin to rise, it begins to fall, because by that time you have become your own standard. And that's a dangerous place. It's a good place to be, but an equally dangerous place to be.
True.
Okay, and it continues when your desire fall, your satisfaction with what you already have grows. So, because you have become your standard now, whatever you have accomplished, whatever you have, seems to be the best. You become more satisfied with what you have. And that's when you see people who have abusing spouse. Because they have contrast, becoming, as we say in Yoruba, they have accepted fate. You try to talk to them about this person can get better, this person can, they don't want to hear it. They are enjoying it. They can be suffering, you're looking at them suffering, but they are fine there. And that's a dangerous place, okay? And then it continues, the next paragraph says, there are always two benchmarks to measure yourself against to determine how well you're doing in life. And this is very important. There is the internal benchmark. So set a standard for yourself. Don't beat yourself up. As a matter of fact, I was having a conversation with somebody last week, and I was asking the person to rate themselves of how they have done well in life. And they said, I think I have done well. And I was like, okay, so you think you have done well based on what? And she said, based on my experiences, based on my family. If I look at all my family, I am the only graduate in my family. She doesn't know. Oh, she's not married, she's in her late 30s, but she's fine. That's internal. But then there is also the external benchmark you have to realize. Because it doesn't matter how internal you are okay. If you will come into spaces sometimes that will make you feel less of yourself, and that's if you have not been objectively looking at yourself side by side, who have the same you have, who has the same opportunities you have, and see how they are doing. And that's why good friends are important. If you have good friends, nothing wrong with you. You're looking at your friend and say, oh, I'm doing this, my friend is doing this. We started at this level, we started at this level. Where is he at? Where am I at? Now, you're not looking at it from the angle of competition. You're looking at it from, oh, am I sure I'm doing okay? Because if you are the judge, jury, and executioner, you can get things mixed up together.
True.
But when you have something, you can begin to what we call health competition. It causes you to want to aspire for more.
True.
It causes you, when I hear ministers talk about what their contemporaries are doing, I see that they are talking from a place of covetousness and hatred. Whereas I've listened to some people talk about from, I think I need to be doing more. I need to be doing more. We can have the good, Apostle Paul was saying, this is one thing I do. I forget the things that are behind. I keep pressing towards the mark. Is the standard of God is pressing towards.
Yeah.
Maybe you're those that I'm supposed to reach 5 nations. And he has Nigeria and maybe Ghana, 2 nations, and he's feeling like I've arrived. He keeps pressing and saying, I've not done all that I'm supposed to do. At a particular point, he even said, I have run my course, I have run my race, I've finished my course. There is a prize, but he did not stop. He still kept pressing. So you need that external benchmark that you want to keep. And this story that he told was very, very important about that 2 sailors. They had the goal of going around the world. And one of them, he did not have money but he got somebody who promised to give him equipment and everything. He had set up and everything, but something went wrong and then he had to. And then he knew that the boat he had could not take him around the world. But he still decided that he would go. And then he started on the journey. And then somewhere along the line, things went south. And this guy, he was not halfway around the world when this thing happened. He decided that, you know what? I'm going to while away time. I'm going to falsify records
to be able to exactly.
And he kept sending telegram back to London saying, this is where I am, this is this. And he went on and went on and went on. But he made a couple of mistakes that showed people that some species going. When they are lying, your lie cannot be consistent.
Exactly.
Don't keep track. And so he kept doing all those, and eventually, what should have turned out to be something to be celebrated. There's something about trying and failing that gives you pride. It's not all the time that trying and failing is bad. Sometimes it gives you have tried something. You have conquered. You are better than the person who never tried. It gives you an opportunity to replan and then go in. The journey to the moon was not accomplished in one go. It was multiple trials. Even up till now, they are still doing trials and failure of launches to the moon that will still fail. And this guy, he pretended and pretended. At the end of the day, as with all case, the story came out. He had to take his life, committed suicide at the end of the day. And his diary came out showing
that he was lying.
That because he could, at the end of the day, watch that, when the truth comes out, you have to, in fact, it's better that the ground should open his mouth and swallow you. You can't face the backlash of what he has done. And then he tells the story of another person, another sailor alive, who was on the same kind of mission. But then he got to a particular place and he was like, I am enjoying this place. I am happy. This guy enjoys traveling. And then he got to a place, he was fine. And then he was like, okay, should I complete it so that people will know that I've completed it? And he said, to hell with the people. I beg, please, let me do what I enjoy. Let me
enjoy the space.
And so, he told himself, and he was celebrated for that. Because for him, he has accomplished. So, if you live all your life trying to impress people, you will die impressing people, and they will not be impressed. That's the unfortunate thing. Because just when you think that you are done impressing them, you have surmounted, they will have another expectation. Because they are not you. So please, let's learn to live our life for ourselves. But also, don't get complacent. I think that lesson was profound for me. Don't get complacent. Thinking that, I am my own standard and I'm all right, let me yield the mic. And then you take us for that.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this amazing review. Thank you. So I want to ask the house, especially for those of us who read the book, what part of the book really made a great impression on us before we just move to any other side of the book? What part of the book made a great impression on us? I know, what's his name? Morgan Housel writes very well. Like, he's an amazing writer. When you're reading the work, say, at some point, it doesn't feel like you're reading. It feels like somebody is talking to you. It feels like you are just experiencing a story or experiencing a particular kind of life. So, what part of the book really made an impression for us? What part of the book did you like? Christy, I wanted Sister Sepri to say something, but she had left the call. Christy, Barile read the book. Yes, I know you read the book. So, let's hear
Yes,
from
I
you.
did. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Barile. Good evening.
Your voice.
Nice to be here. Alright, so the part of the book that I really enjoyed was the part where he spoke about financial independence, and that every bit of saving helps you to become financially independent. I like the gradients, these different classes put as to financial independence. A gradient where if a minor emergency occurs in your life, you're not in a wreck. Or even down to the gradient where you don't need to work, but you just might just have to do it at the same time. I found that really, really striking for me. And that every bit of saving, I like how he said that his friend said $50 wouldn't move a grain, but every bit of saving, no matter how small, is contributing to an eventual future of financial independence. And then secondly, the thing that I really enjoyed from reading the book was when he spoke as to sometimes the things we think we need money for, we don't necessarily need money for it. So sometimes we think we need money what we are, for vacations with our family, but if we chose to, even decline more money and, do other things, right? We decline more money in order to spend more time with our family, then, do you understand? So that was also another part for me, questioning the true motives behind your actions, and then you would find out that sometimes you can actually achieve those things. So those are the two parts I really enjoyed in the book.
Okay, that's beautiful. The part of that family part. Okay, let me draw it back to this other side where he talked about money and your kids. A lot of the times when we are spending money, we don't know that we are leaving traits for how our kids will later see money in the future. We don't understand that how you are spending the money, your kids are paying attention. You understand? So for the one of the family now, you are thinking of vacation, you throw money at the problem instead of the problem. The family is complaining you don't have time for them, but you eventually just give the money to the wife, get them visa, they travel abroad, they go and do their vacation. Whereas what the children are saying is, Daddy does not spend time with us, So you can be solving a problem, but you're actually not solving the problem. You're solving a problem, but not the problem. And when it comes to parenting, kids are always watching. If you read The Secret of the Millionaire's Mind, the author was talking about financial blueprints. There are times where you have this kind of ideologies about money, and you're wondering where you got the ideology from. And you check back, it's actually from your parents. It's actually from how they've been spending money. There are people who tell you that rich people are thieves. It's because their parents believe that rich people are thieves. There are people who tell you that they can never make it to this particular extent in life because their family, that's how it is. So mindset, you are selling a mindset to your family over time. So the author talks about the fact that your kids are paying attention, right? So you don't have to sit your kids down at the dinner table and explain your money values to them. They already know. They're observing you. And since they are small children, they have catalogs every time that they say, you can't afford this, we can't afford that. So over time, they just have that mentality at the back of their head. I can't afford this, I can't afford that.
What do you suggest I say? Because actually, I used to think of it sometimes.
Okay.
Why am I saying that?
Ifoliwa is asking, Ifoliwa is asking, so what else do we say in place of we can't afford this, we can't afford that? Yes, there's a place of educating your child to be contented.
Yes.
But the issue with always telling the child you can't afford is that they also start thinking they can never afford.
I think that one of the principles in the book address this, and that's try something new. You, for your kid's sake, it's healthy for you to always experiment, even within the confines of your budget. You can always find something outside of your norm that you can try with your family. It helps broaden their mind. It helps them see possibilities. Yes, sometimes it will be a result of sacrifice because you know that maybe for instance you take them out to a restaurant. You know that may impact something else in your budget, but always be willing to experiment because sometimes it's not really about the figures that you have and all that. Sometimes it's about the emotions that you create with those kind of experiences
Yes,
that you
the
give.
memories.
And yes, the memories they have would go a lot. The writer talked about when they bought their house. It looked like a costly thing to do at that time, but they loved the house, and so they had to buy it. They had to buy it, and so that's also very important. But I think that there is this part of the book that I find scary because I see that this current generation that we're raising, they are a byproduct of that, and that's when we have money. When people have money, they spend money for their kids to prevent them from having the experiences in quotes that they had growing up.
Exactly.
And so just that we had growing up, we are preventing our kids from having them. And unfortunately for us, the experiences we had was part of what made us the kind of people we are. As in,
Resilient,
it
strong.
informed our value, it informs our principles. Now, when we shield them away from those experiences, we also must find a way of building a curriculum that will teach them those principles within their current reality. Otherwise, there'll be a disconnect. At the end of the day, whatever we have saved up or whatever we amassed over time will be squandered by these children.
True.
All right, I yield the mic.
True. Very, very important. Thank you for adding that. So, anyone else want to add something? Okay, so let me go to this how to be miserable spending money, right?
One more thing, sorry.
Okay.
One more thing. I was going to bring this up at our book reading. And I think I noted it on the group when somebody posted this point. And that's where he was talking about having a wild filter net. That even when it comes to reading a book, read plenty books and then filter down to one that you find is interesting. What do we think about that concept?
Please come again.
Okay, so in this chapter where he talked about, I think he's trying something new.
Okay.
I think he's trying something. When finding a new book to read, my strategy is to have a wide funnel and a strong filter.
Yes,
I want to
I remember that chapter.
as few as possible, but finish few of them. What do we think about that? Because it sounded interesting, but plenty things I already know, like how to finish what you start, and all they were coming up and fighting and saying this thing is wrong. But so can we talk about it?
Okay, what he's asking is that there's a chapter in the book where the author was talking about that sometimes you don't need to finish all the books to start. That one thing he does for himself is that he just has plenty books. He starts them, but he does not end up finishing all of them. So he's asking that we add our input to that. For me, that is his personal. Sometimes we have to learn to separate personal revelation from what we think is our own revelation. But what I understand from that is this. For me, I also do that. I can start so many books, but there are times when you start a particular book and your interest is not even in that book. Not because the book, not because you don't have interest or you just want to discourage yourself, but because the book itself is not even interesting. The author is, there are times where period where I don't finish books are when the author is not insightful. What I'm learning from the book is not necessarily new, as in it's so elementary. Emmanuel, I'm in a meeting. Just give me some minutes. I'll call you back. Just give me some minutes. Thank you. So what I'm learning from the book is kind of elementary. That's in my own view or estimation. Or I just feel like this is not the book I need to read at this time.
So there are levels to this addiction thing. You'll be like, oh, I'm an addict of this way. They don't know that you can be doing something also good and also being an addict to it. It's a character you build. So in this case, what is the purpose of reading a book? Because most people just read books because you just want to
count scores.
Exactly, count scores and get busy with something, fill up spaces, but not to a good end. So it all has to do with the benefit of, or probably the value or the profit, from what you're doing. So should in case I want something, a particular aspect, I'm trying to get a particular knowledge about something, I could have a lot of books around it. And after skimming, because he's saying he goes around many books, obviously he's not reading them, he's skimming through
them.
So I would skim through those books. And when I see that this is the particular author that is giving me the exact value I want,
I stayed there.
You stay there because I feel time is of it's liquid. We don't have time to ourselves. So it's religious, and you being an addict, feeling that I've gotten what I wanted, but I have to finish these other books that I've opened. That's the religious part of it's I use the word being an addict.
Yeah,
because you don't.
But you're very correct. Shola wants to say something.
Okay,
Shola is adding.
There's one thing I've learned, and one thing that I hear from my pastor is that 20% of our result, or how this the 80-20 principle, where 80% of our result is gotten from 20% of the information we get, right? So you can read a book of 500 pages and you've gotten something that is not even up to 2 pages or 10 pages, right? But you've gotten it. And I also agree with the author, because if we say we are going to start reading all the book on finances to be able to get a particular principle, maybe on how to get rich and all of that, last is just 20% of everything that you've read that you're going to implement. So in order to I call it I think that is wisdom to be able to skim through books, right? Skimming, like you're like, okay, from the first couple of pages you can almost predict what will happen, what the final information can be. Or maybe for a particular chapter, the first few paragraphs, or you want to start in the middle, you can almost predict what that whole chapter is talking about. So in order to save time and still be able to process what you read, because there's also something called over information, where you flood your brain with too much information, and it's much harder to process than when take small and be like, okay, I want to focus on this. So for me, I will agree with the author and say that yes, you can have a variety. And just
I also want to put a balance to that, because I just started this over information. I think that sometimes we could make it look it can also deter us from helping our brain muscles. I started exercising 2 months ago, and there's something the gym instructor will always say: if you stay on the lighter weight, you are not going to grow muscles. Yes, if you're trying to lose weight or trying to lose weight, if you keep doing the lighter exercises, you won't lose that weight. You lose weight when you start taking yourself beyond your threshold. So sometimes we don't grow our brain muscles when we don't read beyond what we feel is ordinary for us. I don't know whether you're understanding what I'm saying. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm saying I'm trying to put a balance to it. I'm not saying what you said is wrong.
Yeah.
I'm only trying to say that sometimes we want to say, I want to pick one thing, run with it and do it. But do you know that there are times where you pick more things? You may be feeling your brain is not. It's like reading the scriptures. Reading the Bible, Genesis to Revelation. Are you going to remember everything? You're not going to remember everything. But there will come a time in your life where that situation will come. You will remember one part of the Bible. that can help you. Do you understand?
Well,
I'm not saying what
No.
you said is wrong.
no, I know,
I'm
but
just saying let's put a balance to it. Let's also learn to stretch ourselves beyond I'm taking just little for the now. Because the truth is, I've read a couple of books that they don't serve me. Honestly, they don't serve me. I'm not struggling with it. But when I meet people who that issue applies to, and I'm having a conversation with them, I'm not ignorant any longer.
True.
Do you understand? I can actually relate with them. I can talk with them. But it's not like I'm experiencing it. And when they ask me, what's the problem? How are you talking about this like this? I say, because I read it. But it's not necessarily because I am experiencing it. I'm just saying, yes, there are times where you don't need to overload yourself, especially when it has to do with, I just want to read everything. Anything I say I want to read, anything I say I want to read. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am. But where I'm coming from, I understand the aspect of stretching, taking
More load.
right? But for me, in this aspect, let's say we're dealing with finances. You have Think and Grow Rich. You have The Art of Spending Money. You have Psychology of Money. You have Secret of Millionaire Mind. You have all these books, and you said no, you must read all of them from beginning to end.
It's possible. Now,
Why?
Let me explain something to you. Now, I'm not explaining it from the finance part, but I will come to it. When I was in secondary school, my father is a biology teacher. There's something my father did for me that really made sense to me. My father we have a lot of biology textbooks. So I am reading about, let's say, osmosis is not in, osmosis is in chemistry. What topic is in biology? Joints, right? So I read joints from this particular textbook. I read joints from comprehensive biology, and I now read it from. He had Stone and Cousin. My father had Stone and Cousin at that time. I wasn't using Stone and Cousin. I'll go to Stone and Cousin and read it. The way the author said this will be different from the way this author says this. So at some point, I gain better understanding and better perspective. Now let's get to the finance part that you're talking about. Do you know that Think and Grow Rich did not handle finance the way Psychology of Money handled finance? Calm down, just calm down. Let me explain to you. And do you know that Total Money Makeover did not handle finance the way Money by Rob Moore handled it? If you read Secret of Millionaire's Mind tells you about how you can condition your mind to start thinking about money that is possible to make that wealth. Think and Grow Rich talks in that line. But Psychology of Money talks about your behavior with money. So there are two different conversations entirely. Then Richest Man in Babylon is saying about a total different thing from all these authors. You won't know till you have read it. Do you understand? And the truth is, except it's not the part of your life that you are intensively building. There's some part of your life you're not intensively building it. Okay. Do you understand? Like parenting, parenting is intensive. So you are going to read about how to discipline them. You're going to read about how to help them. You're going to read about their nutrition. Because you can't leave anyone on. Do you understand? You can't say I read only one parenting book and that's the end for me. Or I went to one parenting seminar and that's all for me. So they teach in church. You zoom off because you have listened to one parenting talk 5 years ago. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Why it is not okay to overload your brain with a lot of information. Remember, these ones you are reading for pleasure. You're not under pressure to please anybody. You're not even under. Nobody's going to ask you 1+1 inside and then to score you. Nobody's going to score you. So as you are reading it, it's for your own personal growth. So I understand the aspect of skimming to know the one that applies to you and you can read. Do you understand? It's even possible when you are in the library. I bought a book. I should not read the book I bought. I don't understand. Morgan Housel, I can understand him. He has a lot of money to buy the books and keep. How many books did I have when I was in Uniports? So the books I'm buying, I should not read my book because of what? So these things apply to us at different times.
Madam Grace, yes, there are certain books that, for instance, even in the book club, there are certain books, certain months that we put books, and the book does just not work for me. I try to start reading it. I try and try and try and try. At the end of the day, I'll just have to drop it. Now, that does not now say that same book will not be beneficial to me because I have stumbled on some of the books we've read in the past. I have stumbled at them years after we've read them, and it's like I'm just seeing them for the first time because the context and that season for me, requires a book. What
Exactly.
is important is we're intelligent to know that, okay, if I get started on this thing, for instance, now you are trying to build a saving culture. You think you want to be saving every week. You try it 1 month, 2 months, it's not working. Please change it. If it's monthly that you can save, change that style. As in, that's not what that there should be something that lets you know that, okay, this process I'm going through, I'm trying to implement is just working, so that you can quickly switch, because there are million new things you can try. You know, I've tried carry wise. I've tried ajo people. What do you call ajo people in Port Harcourt?
They
People that
say
will come and
Ajo.
It's
collect
still,
money
it's still
from you
Ajo.
directly.
It's still
I've
Ajo.
tried, I've, yeah, I've tried cooperative. I've tried. There are 1,000 ways you can save money. I've
Yes.
tried shares buying auto, that I just put money in the account, it auto debits my account. I've tried locked savings. I've tried emergency funds that I can pull anytime. Just keep experimenting until you find the one that
That
works for you.
works for
Don't
you.
say that, oh, because I must go through with everything I say. So you want to be saving every month now. It's 5,000 you say you want to be saving every month. By the time month ends, it's just 2,000 that is in your account. Even the auto debit cannot debit you.
Yeah.
So change your style. That's the point that I think that's the point the author
Auto
is
is trying
trying
to make. Yeah.
to of course, like you said, there are too many informations for us to narrow ourselves down to the informations that we find attractive. We must also be willing. I think the author talked about the fact that he doesn't like reading fiction material,
Yes.
but he had to
Morgan Housel
put
doesn't like
himself
it.
under the bondage to read it, so that until he found that, oh, it's not that I don't like fiction. I don't like the writing style of some people.
This
I
person,
like the
yes.
writing style of some people, and
Another
he
person.
began to read them. So please be open to experiment. I think that's it. All
Yeah.
right, God bless you. Thank you very much, man.
Thank you so much. So let's wrap up, because we need to. This conversation needs to end by 5 at least, or before 5. So we're talking about how to be miserable spending money. The truth is, sometimes we are enjoying the spending of the money, thinking that that is the enjoyment, right? But when we are done, reality now dawns on us. So you have to learn to project to the future. This money I'm spending, what is the satisfaction is going to bring, and is that satisfaction enduring? So fantasizing that having more money is the solution to all your problems. Abella handled that during his conversation. Sometimes the problem is you're throwing money at some problem. It's not that money is the solution to that problem. So you have to critically look at a problem and find out, is it really money that is the problem? You understand? A child is complaining about something, and you think that what the child is talking about is basically money, or even your business, because we can throw money at business, and really, it's not money that is the problem of the business. You already have a chat where you have plenty customer contacts. That if you do all these daily ads to them, personally, it will sell. They will buy from you. But you just feel that I have to stock more, the place is empty, this, that. I have to make the place more fanciful, more decorative, right? Or you are not even taking care of your own customer representative properly. So your staff are rude. So it's already driving customers, you know. So there are things that the problem is not necessarily about money, but sometimes you focus more on the money. Then have no sense of your own have no sense of your own tendency to regret. So this particular one talks about the fact that your regret should be personal, right? There are things why that other people would they put their money into, and they will feel bad about it. Some persons don't want to invest in the growth of their younger ones. For them, it's a wrong investment, but for you, it may be the right investment. So don't use the standard of another person as your own standard, because money in the end is a tool to solving problem, and not a tool to just have it and then immerse the wealth, and then you are named as the richest man in the world. The richest man in the world, to what end? What problem did that money solve for you? Did the money help you live better? Because money is about being able to live better. I've seen people that when I went to Lagos, there's this particular man. In fact, his life was quite intriguing to me. because he had money. But from the situation of things, he was living in a house that was way lower for him. His kids were almost looking like they were squatting inside the house. Their education, he wasn't taking care of it. He wasn't paying staff well, but there was money in his account. And there are people who are like that. How can you have money and it's not solving your problem? How can you have money and your wife can't even cook good? It's not showing any part of the family. If the man passes now, there are people who will say they have humility, they are humble. But how much of that humility is translating to you living a better life? Because mising and being stingy is actually not humility. Then the last part I want us to look at is that the richer you are, the nicer you should be. Being rich or having money or being able to solve your problem does not mean you should be rude to other people. It doesn't mean that, because people are the ones who connect you to even make the wealth. And I'm glad that the author touched on that. You can't have money, you can't be rich, and all you are thinking about is how to make other people's life miserable, how to tell them, do you know who I am? Which is the normal Nigerian thing that sometimes we do, right? Because we've arrived, we want to show people we have arrived. But arriving and showing people that you have arrived, to what end? Remember the parable that Jesus talked about in the scripture, where he talked about this particular man who, in the end, he had already, the master drove him out. What he did was he went to meet other people and was asking them, how much do you owe my master? And then he will pay the person. He said, cancel. If you owe 20, cancel. He will pay 10 for the person so that the person cannot pay 10. What was he doing? He was using money to make friends. And Jesus commended him as wise. So money should be used to create good circle of friends. And not just the circle of friends you're trying to impress, but circle of friends that tomorrow when you people meet and you people are discussing, your discussion can actually bring value to the table. Your discussion can actually make other people's life better. Your friend cannot have issues and you know how to solve it. I'm not talking even money-wise. And you have the connection to help them solve it. And you don't want them, because you don't want them to become higher than you, so to speak. But when you are the richest person amongst 5 persons, Apostle Seman says you are poor, right? So amongst foolish people, you are the wisest person there. You are foolish too. So being able to raise other circle of billionaires or rich people amongst you should be part of your goal. Being nice should be part of your goal. You can't be rude. You have to watch your attitude, because money can actually be a very wrong master. It's good. Money is a good servant, but a very poor master. When you make money the master, the decisions are always poor. So on that note, we've ended the reading on the art of spending money. I don't know whether we have any question. Just take a few of our questions so that we can wrap up. If we have questions, contribution, or something to add. Thames wants to ask. Is it Thames or
Thanks.
Like THANKS.
THA?
Thank you.
Like thank you. Oh,
But not thank you, thanks.
thanks. Okay. Okay, what's the question?
The luckier you are, I guess, the nicer you should be. So I heard, maybe I have my personal answer to this, but
Okay.
I still want to get ideas with it. So I've heard scenarios where people will be like, when you're at the top, trying to pull
Other people up.
they seldom in most cases try pulling you down too. So how do we create a balance as to what you're saying?
Okay, now in pulling people up, you can't be down and be pulling people up. You have to be up to pull people up, and you have to be intentional about the people you are pulling up. Do they want to be pulled up?
Okay.
That's another thing. Let's take for the instance of siblings. You can't have somebody, you have 2 siblings. One of them is willing to do something that can create wealth or build his life. Right. The other person perpetually does not know how to manage money. Perpetually. Do you understand? What I mean by perpetually is there's no trace of money management in their life. They're either gambling, smoking, or whiling away with the money. Who should you rather be pulling up? Who should you rather be pulling up between the 2 of them?
You're putting me on the fence.
Yes, now.
Okay, according to what you just said.
According to the question.
You just
according to
what you said before the question scenario, it's obviously the one who's willing. you said it, we should look at
Because the other one, what happens is that you are throwing into a hole. You give the person, they come back. You give the person, there is one that you will give. The person builds, let's stop disturbing you.
So this is a follow through from what you just said. Now.
Okay.
Now first of all, where's the place of grace? Because we are talking about friends now. The scenario you gave, were trying to uplift your friend circle. They are already your friends. You can't just discard them. Obviously, they have qualities that make them qualify as a friend. So where's the place of grace? Because I would want to put in one or two things. So that's why I was very skeptical about going direct to the answer.
This MacBook battery is getting low, so let's be fast so that everybody here can benefit.
Okay.
Where's the place of grace?
Yes,
right?
In it.
Okay. Let me point out the place of grace. Do we realize that God is gracious, yet there's heaven and hell?
Yeah.
Do we realize that God is gracious, yet there are certain persons God will allow life to teach them lessons? Do you understand that? So being gracious does not mean, like a parent, being gracious does not mean that a child will demand immunization and you now say, let the child not go through the immunization because of the pain. It's not everything. There's a way you give everything to a child. And by a child, the person is not necessarily a child, but by thinking, the person is automatically a child. If they always waste. There's a way you enable a child, you keep giving to the child, you keep giving to the child, right? The child does not know how to help themselves. So you cripple them from growing. Okay. The truth is, keep the person in a place where you constantly teach the person. I remember there was a time where my business was not growing, my life was not in total order. I know a particular person that I kept going to, and I kept saying, I need to pay rent, I need to do this. And this man will always tell me, Grace, you don't need money. You need your business to grow. And you need your ideologies about your business to get better. Then there came an opportunity where I needed somebody to stand for me as a guarantor. He stood for me as a guarantor, but he never gave me a dime. But he stood for me as a guarantor for a business that brought in the money. So that's what I'm saying. You need to be intelligent enough to know how to help the person. Exactly. But he was not giving me money. Okay, if I had seen him as a wicked person at the point where he was telling me, Grace, you don't need money. You always come to talk about rent. You always come to talk about this one happening to you, that one happening. Why not expand your mind to think about your business, how to grow it? He did not give me money. I just went back and started thinking, how do I grow my business? The opportunity came and I went back to him. He now said, no wahala. My office building, the person should come. He used it as a collateral for the business. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. So you should be able to weigh the option. It's not everything you give to people. Mm-hmm. Because there are times, I'm not saying you shouldn't give.
No, I totally.
It's wisdom.
You've answered it correctly. When you get the both scenarios,
yes,
this other person, yes, is financially not intelligent and probably not even willing to. Maybe you didn't put it not willing to learn. Why this other person
is willing
to do something with it. So yes, I would give to this person. So the place of grace in this one is getting this one into an environment to grow. Then now this is also a follow-through question because something happened in class today in spiritual authority. So what's in a scenario where you're trying to rehabilitate this person or probably grow this person, reorient this person, and this person is head-bent on just give me money and he's not interested in the process of wanting to learn. He's not willing to learn.
Okay, does anyone have an answer to his question? Can we?
No.
Okay.
No, emotional. Don't be emotional.
Exactly.
That's the answer. Don't be emotional. Anybody that is not willing to grow does not deserve to be helped. One of my colleagues would say, you can't cry more than the bereaved. If the guy does not see he's in a problem, your job is not he's in a problem. Exactly. As long as he still does not see that he's in a problem, by trying multiple times means that guy deliberately wants to be in that problem. And so let him be. Let him be. That's the truth. Honestly. Because the truth of that is that, with my own life experience, one of the things I've discovered is that even when you're above water, be careful how many people you are trying to lift at the same time.
Yes.
So even amongst your siblings, you may have to be intelligent enough to say, for this season, I'm focusing on helping this one person climb, so that we can become two people that will be helping others to climb. Don't carry everybody on your head, though.
At the same time.
Otherwise, they will drag you back into that you just climbed out of. And it's the same thing amongst your friends too. So be intentional, be deliberate, be intelligent about it. Leave your emotion. When it comes to helping people, leave your emotions out of it. Don't be emotional. Be objective. Okay, what am I trying to achieve with this person? And okay, what are the processes or the steps I want to take to achieve this? And then just go 1, 2, 3. You are done with that person. Every other thing after that, you should be the person lifting other people up. So please don't be emotional, sir.
Okay. I think that answers the question, right? Because most times we want to play savior in the life of the person that God has not even appointed you to be savior to. You understand? The truth is, being nice to people does not mean you must help them. It means that you are not rubbing off their failure in their face. Do you understand? It just means that you are not rude to them. Because people get rich and they get rude. Let's be honest. They get arrogant. You can't approach them. You know, they have plenty protocol. Before you talk to brother cannot even sit in the same sitting room again to discuss with people. Do you understand? But yes, the more you can interact with people, relate with people, the more your wealth even grows. Because that small child you are neglecting may even give you an idea that can grow your business. Yeah. David, thank you for being here. Christy, thank you for being here. Chris, thank you. Abiola, God bless you. Barile, thank you so much. I don't know whether anybody has any final words to say. We have 2 more minutes. So anybody has anything to say? Boss, you want to say something?
Okay, let me just say something. This book cuts across different areas. Focuses on both your relationship, focuses on money, a lot of aspects. And I believe some of us might not agree with this. But the truth is this, for me, money brings happiness.
Yes, that's
money.
What the book said.
Just imagine yourself.
No, that's what the book said.
Okay.
The book did not dispute that.
Good. It brings happiness, and true happiness comes from you spending money on those things that gives you joy. That's where the true happiness comes from. Not impressing others, because there's this feeling that comes when you try to impress. The moment you impress someone, try to do something just to impress the next person. The next time, the same person comes back again. You try to do something more. And when the person comes again, you tend to do more and more until you are tired. Even that person you're trying to impress does not say anything in what you have done. That's what I've learned from this book. Money. Money don't cause me problem. But we just have to be careful on how we spend our money.
Yeah, money does bring happiness, right? The author is on the opinion that as you're building wealth, be your own standard, right? Understand what you are running from. All of us know what we are running from. You want to, if your own standard is that you want to be able to travel around the world, then when you are making the money, you should learn to look at your travel plans, the places you want to visit. That's your goal, right? And what are you going to achieve with that goal? But it's not about showing it on social media. Because the more you show it on social media, you want to be competitive, right? There's somebody who is doing more than you are doing. And because the person is doing more than you are doing, you don't have the money to match that person's energy. You start trying to kill yourself over what is not necessary. But your money can take you to Ghana. Your money can take you to Togo. Start from there first. Start from where you are. So the book actually is a very nice book. It's a brilliant book. Anyone who hasn't read it from cover to cover, please try and read it. I know the author said sometimes you pick some book, you don't finish it. But this book is a book you should finish. Honestly speaking. So God bless you all for being here. We have the recorded version of this. And so we'll put it in the group when so that we can all listen and then go back to it. Charity, thank you so much. Christy, rather, thank you for being here. Chris, David, Barile, Abiola, thank you so much and do have a beautiful rest of the evening. God bless you.